This week's episode is brought to you by the legends over at Dog and Gun Coffee, and you guys can get $10 off of your next order when you use the code Bowhunter, all in caps locks. That's $10 off your next order of delicious coffee made for adventure over at Dog and Gun Coffee when you use the code Bowhunter.
Hey there, and welcome to Becoming a Bowhunter. I'm your host, Maddie, and join me and our guests as we take the quality of meat back into our own hands. Searching the wild for free-ranged animals to harvest as ethically as we can. I interview a variety of specialists from the bow hunting community to help fast-track your journey as a bow hunter. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this chinwag on one of your favorite topics in the world, bow hunting.
Welcome back, bow hunters. Got a great little episode for you this week, talking with Brad Murphy, and we're talking all about the new program that he's released, which is creating the better bow hunter. And I think realistically, there is just so much that we unpack within this episode, relating the program, relating why it's been developed, and why it's such a great resource for ourselves as bow hunters. So if you want to become a better bow hunter, I really recommend listening to the whole episode through, but then jumping across to Brad's website and grabbing yourself a copy, because realistically, for what he's charging and the value you'll get from that is it's pretty ridiculous. So yeah, I'll be quiet so you guys can sit back, relax, and enjoy the episode.
Alrighty, bow hunters, welcome back to another episode. Sitting here, Brad, I think you were guest number 3 for the podcast, potentially, thereabouts. So, yeah, I would like to welcome back Brad Murphy.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Yeah, it's been a long time. I just had Kevy
Shelf back on, and he was number 2. And that was, I think we figured out the 15th of March was the date of that. So it would have been, I think it might have even been around this time that we actually recorded.
It could have been.
Being February, because I recorded like six to 10 episodes or something like that before I actually launched the podcast. Just to kind of give me a bit of a support if I needed to. But mate, to be honest, just as we had that podcast, as we interviewed you, you were getting ready to go and do your muskox hunt, and you were standing in the middle of summer in your full get-up,
That's right.
all your winter clothes to make sure that it would work. And I thought that'd be maybe a great place to kind of kick off, just a little bit of a recap as to what that trip was like and how cold it actually was in the end and what was needed. And it was a good trip, and it all worked out well. I got myself a muskox, and we all did, all the 4 of us that went over, so it was really good. A surreal adventure like nothing I've ever done before. And was it Greenland?
Sort of keen to do it again.
Or Iceland?
Yeah, it was Greenland. Greenland. Yeah.
And what sort of temperatures was it?
When we landed, it was minus 27. And the next day when we got up, it was minus 35. So
you obviously you're prepared for it, but like, what does it feel like? Is it just intense?
Yeah, it's not as cold as what you expect. Like I thought, like you take your gloves off and you're going to get frostbite straight away and things like that, but you don't. You can handle it a little bit.
Yeah.
It was funny, like, your eyebrows freeze over and your eyelashes freeze over and things like that. But you go into anywhere like that, you have the right gear.
Yeah.
And what we didn't sort of have to take over with things like boots and stuff that the outfitter had for us and everything. So
cool.
It was really, really well done by the outfitter, and the whole hunt was really good. And like I ended up wearing a sealskin anorak and sealskin gloves.
Yeah, wow.
Like that they traditionally the Inuits wear over there and stuff. And so it's all really cool. It's just an awesome experience.
How was that for shooting? I know you did a fair bit of practice beforehand, but were you doing trigger release or were you doing tension release?
Back to like a hinge release.
Yeah, okay, cool.
So that all worked well. Yeah, no, it was all fine. The one thing I did find was I had some pretty thick, thin shillet gloves on, and I had mittens over the top. And when I took the mittens off to, if I was stalking or anything, it didn't take very long for the hands to go really cold, which is a bit interesting. But probably the funniest thing was, like, I tested all my gear. So I put all my release aid and rest and, everything in the freezer, even the sight and stuff like that for a couple of weeks, and then pulled it out and, made sure it was all working well and shooting well. And so I was pretty confident that all my gear was right. I'd practiced, as I said, in all my down and all my hunting gear and stuff. And then I got over there, and the first morning we had one rifle shooter with us, and he shot a muskox more or less straight away, and the rest of them sort of ran around behind this hill. And while they were butchering that, I sort of ducked around the back to try and chase these down. And I stalked in on a reasonable bull and crawled in. And I was just waiting for it to turn broadside, and it did. And it was just standing there, and I tried to knock my arrow, and my arrow just kept falling off the string. And I thought, oh, no, I've travelled all this way, and the only thing I didn't put in the freezer was my nocks, and my nocks are going to let me down. And I was trying to draw the bow with a release aid while holding the nock on the string, and it was and I was just devastated. No. I tried about 3 different arrows, and it just didn't work.
So what happened? Did it freeze over in
all
between
it
the nock?
was no. What had happened? I was getting a little bit of a little bit of flat spot on my serving, and because I'd had it in my in a bow case, it had actually just turned the string a little bit, and so it wouldn't actually clip on properly.
No way.
And that's all it was. Once I got back to the four-wheeler, I just put it back on, straightened it up, and it was all right. It was just in the rush of trying to stalk this thing and get in. I hadn't even sort of paid attention to that, and that's all it was. But I thought I've come all this way, and a knock is going to let me down. I was just about to throw the arrow at the muskox.
You could have done what they did on the loan. Right. I think you pretty much did it with a knife for most of it.
Yeah, well, it was going to come down to that, I tell you.
So they're an interesting animal, right? They kind of pack up and all hold together, like huddle together in a group, don't they?
Yeah, as a defence mechanism, and in winter and stuff, they huddled all together. So as a defence mechanism, all the bulls, they'll get in a circle, all out facing outwards, and all the younger ones and the smaller ones get in the middle of that. Yeah, and that protects them from bears and things like that, I guess.
And so that's kind of their main predators they have there is bears.
In Greenland, no, they wouldn't. Or they do get some polar bears in Greenland, and especially on one side of the coast. But we're on the east coast. They don't tend to get as many polar bears there. So I think, as far as predators go, there it would just be the cold and the subsistence hunters and stuff like that. So
yeah, okay.
That'd be about it there, I reckon.
And they're in kind of pretty open land, aren't they?
Surprisingly not. I thought so. With all the videos that I'd watched prior, most of them are from Alaska and stuff, and they hunt them out on the tundra, and they basically just chase them until they circle up, and then they stalk in and wait for one to turn broadside and shoot it. But when we're over there, it was quite mountainous, not huge mountains, but hilly, and the muskox actually they're actually more related to sheep than to. They're not a bovine. Yeah, and so they like the mountains, so they get up in the hills. So we'd go along on the quad bikes, like on tracks, and you'd spot a group up on the hill, and then we'd ride around the backside and come in over the top and stalk down on them. So it was really spot and stalk. It was totally different to what I thought it was. It was awesome.
Yeah, wow. And in regards to sizing, like how big is a muskox roughly in regards to what can you relate it to something within Australia maybe?
They're probably only about the size of a fallow deer.
Oh, wow.
Height-wise.
Yeah, wow.
They're not big. They look massive.
Yeah.
But they're really only, probably, I don't know, 3 foot, 3.5 foot at the shoulder, sort of maybe.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
They're not, they look really big. And, there's a lot of hair on them.
Yeah.
But, they're not actually, not a very long-legged animal, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Do they have much width to them?
They're pretty. Well, again, the hair and that makes them look pretty wide.
Bigger, yeah.
But they're not as probably big as. So they'd be bigger than a fallow deer. They'd probably be like probably a little bit bigger than a sambar maybe in size once they're skun and things like that.
Yeah.
But they're a totally unique creature. Like I can't understand that how something can live in that temperature. Like we were there in spring, so it was actually warming up. Yeah, wow. And it was minus 35. Like it'd get insane. To minus 50 and 60 there, and
oh my God.
It's just unbelievable.
It is. It really is unfathomable, right? You just can't deal with it. I've seen same sort of videos that you were talking about, watching a few different hunting videos, and it's pretty much they hunt them out in the opens, wait for them to circle up, and then stalk in and take a shot. Have you seen that show Alone?
Yes.
Yeah. So I can't even remember what season it was. Maybe season 6 or 7 or something around there. One of the guys shot a muskox with his bow and arrow, and he did it to the recurve. But I'm pretty certain it wasn't like his shots that he took were not vital at all. Kind of got it through the rump or something like that, and so he had to go up and finish it by. He would run at it and stab it in the chest, then run off and try not to get done over.
Try not to get because they've got they're pretty they're sharp, those horns.
Yeah, that was going to be the question. Like, is the tips to them, and do they just kind of thrash them side to side like a pig would almost with its tusks?
Pretty much, yeah. And they got a really big boss on their head, so I guess they headbutt each other and stuff.
Yeah.
Like most sheep and goats and that sort of stuff do. But yeah, their horns hook up and they've got quite a sharp. And yeah, it's probably like a boar, really. I'd imagine the way they use them on predators and stuff. So
it'd be a pretty big bang if you hear them out in the wild too, right? Them smacking heads. It seems like a fair
it would be
chunk of. What is it? Is it a big horn? Is it?
Yeah. So it's just a bit like a Cape Buffalo and stuff like that, like just a big boss on the front that they butt each other with.
Yeah, wow, super fascinating, mate. You've travelled quite a lot for hunting in general, for bow hunting. What species have you hunted overseas?
Well, the muskox in Greenland. I've been over to Bulgaria and hunted fallow deer a couple of times, which is another awesome trip. And I've been to the States sort of, I think I'm probably done 10 or 11 trips.
Wow.
Over there over the years.
And so hunted all deer species over there?
Yeah, mainly elk. I've always sort of generally had a mule deer tag and a black bear. I used to hunt a lot in Oregon with some mates from over there, so we'd be able to get a bear tag and a mountain lion tag and things like that as well.
Did you? Yeah,
elk was always not of those. Probably had a chance at some bears on a couple of trips, but elk's always been the main priority. So you sort of don't pass up on a bear when you're in elk country, I guess.
Definitely. And in regards to all those trips, is there like one that you kind of favour, or they're all different because they're all different?
Yeah, they're pretty much all different. The last couple of trips I went on a guided hunt, like a private land hunt. That was the last trip that I've been on. That was unique in the fact that there was so many animals because you're hunting on private land. Yeah, wow. Previously every other trip we just done a mate and I just did it on a shoestring budget. Like we had some mates over in the States and we'd just fly over and they'd have camp set up for us and we just hunt public land, and it was pretty much a lottery. Like you'd go over there some years and see lots, and I was over there for 1 year for about 3 weeks and saw elk on 2 days.
Wow.
The whole 3 weeks. So, I guess probably that outfitted hunt was good to see so much interaction, things like that. I saw more in those 2 weeks or that 10 days than I probably have in the previous 8 years or something.
It's crazy, right? And it makes you understand as to why you pay a lot of money for those sorts of things, but at the same time, to go that far and only see 2 days of elk, that's a big trip.
Yeah. Well, we used to, as I said, do it on a shoestring sort of budget because that's what we could afford.
Yeah.
And it can be done. Like, Jimmy Dootmas did it.
Yeah, exactly.
Last year and stuff like that.
Perfect
so
example.
It can be done, but it's your odds are stacked against you, I guess.
Definitely. I think depending on where you draw your tag as well, it can really differ as to what experience you have.
Yeah, most definitely. Yep. Yeah. So we just shoot hunting over the counter tag units. So, you didn't have to apply for tags. You just get them, the week before season and stuff, and you could hunt anywhere. So we weren't drawing any tags. So they weren't premium units by any stretch of the imagination, and there was just people, other hunters everywhere, really. Yeah,
yeah. It sounds like the Wild West a little bit at times, but at the same time, it makes you understand why the people who go in the furthest and really are willing to do those extra miles get the result, right?
Yeah. Do the miles, you get the smiles, sort of thing.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly right. Common thing to hear in bow hunting, isn't it?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Oh, there's your muskox behind you. How good.
Oh yeah. He's he made it into this room, so it's it's a fantastic animal.
Have the animals kind of overtaken the house a little bit?
They used to. My eldest son, who's now 8, in our old house, his room was basically the trophy room. So he was born and put straight in the trophy room. So he had deer heads all around him from when he was born. But we've since built a new house, and I've got a pretty good man cave and a shed out the back where they all live and do all the archery stuff. So
how good!
I've still got a few in the house, but not many.
Do you actually sit and admire them often?
Yeah, I look at them every day, really.
Yeah.
Just always, you don't sort of sit there for hours every day, but you always go past and have a look at them, and it just always brings back good memories.
Definitely, yeah. I've got my red stag and the decent toothy boar that I got from Randy's block last year, and they're just both sitting in our dining room, but I see them every day because our kitchen kind of overlooks the dining room. So I literally look over them whenever I'm washing the dishes or eating my breakfast or something like that. And so it's a nice little reminder. It really is something that you do kind of take in quite a lot.
Yeah, and it gives you I guess, like you do that, when you're at work or when you're on your way to work or whatever, and that's why you work, isn't it? It just gives you, that's the reward you get for going to work.
Definitely.
So it's just some people like a flash car and they like driving to work in a flash car, and that's their reason for going to work and stuff. And for hunters and that, it's the adventure, and these things just bring back those memories of those adventures.
Exactly right. I do often wonder. I'm just trying to find. I think I've got a Facebook page open somewhere. With the work that I do now, I open like 800 windows, and now I cannot find whether the damn Facebook window is. So hopefully that doesn't keep going off. But yeah, I do often wonder if you were to find someone like that is very kind of driven by the material stuff and take them into the woods, what sort of experience they would have. If it would wear off on them the same way that it does for us.
Yep.
Or if it would be just a complete I can't wait to get home situation.
Yeah.
Maybe a mixture of both.
Well, that's right, yeah. And I guess some people just don't realise what's out there and, how enjoyable it can be and things. And others probably, don't ever want to experience it again.
Definitely, which actually is a great segue into the next question that I have. You were involved in the filming of the season to some extent. What was your role in that, and how did that all play out? And what is the season?
Well, the season's an 8-part TV series put together by Craig Pringle on Black Fox Productions, I should say. And it basically follows a group of different hunters all through Australia, just, for their season or last, the season of hunting. Mm-hmm. So it follows Ben Solaris up in Queensland, who, probably most people would know. Eamon Waddington in New South Wales. There's Sarah Glover from Tasmania, who's she's a chef.
Right, yeah, she's got the show. What's her show called again?
I can't remember.
It's something about...
Put me on the spot?
Yeah, no, it's something about women in the wild hunting and, hunting, fishing, etc. Yeah, it's I only seen one episode and it's a great show, but yeah.
Yeah, so, she's in it. And then there's a fella from Victoria here, Pat Galvin, who is an Irishman who came out here, and he got into bow hunting probably about 2 or 3 years ago now. And he sort of got approached to do it because he was, I guess a corporate kind of guy, worked in the city in an office during the week and things, and liked to get out bush on the weekend. So it was a good sort of
fit for it.
A good fit. And he basically mentioned to Craig that had helped him out with some coaching and things. So they got me along just to film the pilot, basically, as his sort of coach and mentor, and it just went on from there. We sort of, I guess, we must have. I can't say I look good on TV, but maybe I just made him look a bit better or something.
That's unreal. And I think it really kind of fits into the bill as to what we were talking about before, right? Like taking the wild and giving it to people who are within the corporate world. And I think putting it on TV like that. Do you know what like which channel it's going to be hosted on or anything like that yet?
No, it should be. We should find out in the next. It's dragged on. We were supposed to know by June last year. It's already been on in New Zealand, and we're supposed to know sort of in the next week or two where it's going to be aired here in Australia. But it's supposed to be airing. Originally we were told last year, and then it was supposed to be early this year. So I'm not too sure yet. I haven't actually heard. It takes a lot longer to get stuff on, on TV than what I actually thought it would.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting process, isn't it? My brother's in film and television, and the stuff that goes on behind the scenes, like unless you're a list type film that has the funding before you even go into it, it's actually a really rough world.
That's what we've found. It's pretty tough and cutthroat, I guess. But they're doing a second season.
How good.
So there's going to be at least 2 seasons of it. So, we'll start filming, or we're planning for that in the next couple of weeks, what we're going to do this year and things. So,
mate, that's incredible. I think it's going to be... Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, not to spoil it for anyone, but the part that Pat and I are involved in sort of goes through the whole eight episodes, and wait till you see the last episode. It's just things couldn't have worked out any better. I don't think.
I know the end result, but I don't know how it plays out. So I'm excited to actually see what happens.
It's you couldn't have scripted it better.
I love that it drags out over the 8 episodes as well, right? Because you think about most hunting shows, and it's a 23-minute clip or whatever they've got to fit into the half-hour slot.
Yep.
And that's all you get to see of the whole hunt versus at least 8 episodes. If it's dragging out throughout that and you're seeing you guys constantly going in and doing those bits and pieces, like that it really paints the picture a little bit more as to what bow hunting actually is, rather than what we see kind of every day on the hunting shows or in social media where you're just seeing the end result is the typical thing that we see, and we don't see that hardship. I think that's I think that's great.
Yeah, that's right, because we were hunting sambar, so it's it took the whole season. We shot it right at the end of it was in sort of October when we shot it, so we'd hunted all year doing it. So it was certainly not just a walk in and do it sort of thing. So
how many trips was it for you in the end?
Well, I was lucky because it was during COVID, and I live in regional Victoria. Yeah. So I got a lot more trips in than what the boys in Melbourne did. But we probably did 6 or 7 trips all up, and I did a few more on top of that. So, a mixture of some farm fringe sort of private land, some high country, packing in for a week sort of stuff, and bits of everything. So. It was really good. That's the best part about being on this is I get to go and hunt.
Yeah, exactly. Not a bad world at all, right?
Well, if we can turn it into a paid gig, it'd be awesome.
Yeah, even if they cover your fuel, right? That'd be nice.
That's it.
So tell me, if someone wanted to go into Victoria as a outer stater and come in and do a high country backpack walk-in style hunt, is there what can you kind of give people to have more success? Because obviously if you're doing 6 to 7 trips to make it happen and someone's coming down for say a week or 2 to make it happen, what sort of things can you give as insights to say okay, well, make sure you're doing X, Y, and Z. It's going to give you every bit of probability to be better off.
Yeah, you probably want to do some research before you come down, either talking to someone that hunts down here that can put you into the right sort of area. There are plenty of deer here, but like any area, there's spots where they congregate, and you're more likely to find them. So doing that, or getting on Google, finding, good areas that are sort of, they don't need to be right out in the middle of nowhere sort of thing. Sambar will, they'll live in your backyard sometimes, but you just need spots that are accessible to hunt, to get into, basically got a lot of feed, water, shelter, the three things that all deer need. Then you need a lot of luck.
Yeah. There's actually an Instagram reel getting around at the moment. It's a guy in his truck and there's these two sambar deer on the side of the highway just having a fight, and they're just absolutely incredible deer. And he's obviously a hunter. He's filming. He's like, "Are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? Right here."
Yep.
Probably been out in the bush hunting them for years and never seen anything that size. And yeah, surely enough, here they both are. Just incredible.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's what it is, isn't it? That's hunting.
Yeah, definitely. Always when you don't have your stuff.
When you don't have your bow, you see them.
Definitely the way it works. And so that kind of leads on to the next part, something you've been designing behind the scenes for a while, and I don't know the full ins and outs of it, so I'd love to get full details from you now, is your bow hunting course. I know you've done a lot of work like one-on-one with people previously, like through the Bowhunting coach, and your setup there, but what have you done and how is it different to what you've done previously?
I've been doing some coaching for a fair 7 or 8 years now, and I started doing started running seminars basically here in Victoria and interstate of New South Wales, Queensland, things like that. And then COVID hit, so I thought, and people were still wanting to do things, so I put a lot of information online, just on YouTube and things, and that didn't sort of really go off that much, but I wasn't too fast. But I thought there's always got to be a better way, because a lot of people contact me, but then find out I'm from Victoria and they're from Queensland or New South Wales and they can't get there for coaching or whatever. So I've tried to develop a package that anyone from a new bow hunter to an advanced bow hunter can come in and just do either the whole program or just certain sections of it. So in conjunction with a mate of mine who runs courses and stuff all the time, he suggested that I put together a modular type system. So I've called it the Better Bowhunters program, and it's a 6-part or 6-module sort of course that takes you through basically everything. So there's the first part's an online course that anyone can do at any stage. It's about an hour and 50 minutes worth of information, and that takes you through everything from buying a bow, selecting the right bow, right arrows, setting up your draw length, using release aids, how stabilizers work, broadhead selection, basically everything you need. So everything that I used to run in doing the seminars, all the theory stuff, is all now online. It's all well filmed, and it's all broken up into chapters, which are only sort of anywhere from 2 minutes to 5 minutes long. So it's something you can just go, you can watch a chapter, then leave it and go back to it.
Yeah. Or
once you've paid for it.
I need to find out about arrows. I'll jump to arrows and go just through that segment. Yeah.
That's
good. Yeah.
Exactly right. Yeah. And it's a once-off fee. Like, it's only $100 and you have it forever. When we keep updating the course in it, you just keep getting that for free and stuff like that. So it's just to get that information out to people, because there is a lot of information, as you know, and for yourself when you started off, like there's so much stuff on YouTube and on the internet, things like that, but it's all over the place.
It really is, yeah.
And it's not always specific to Australia. So a lot of stuff that they do in America doesn't quite work the same for us in Australia. So I've just tried to do, bring all of that content in together into just one easy spot that people can access.
Yeah, that's incredible. Something like that, when I very first started out, would have saved me a lot of money, I think. And what I mean by that is that I bought many times over of just the wrong things. Like you just think you're doing the right thing, and you go and buy it, and then you find out in a few weeks later, like, no, that actually wasn't the right fit for what I needed or whatever. And yeah, something like that is just very valuable. It's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, you save yourself, you can save yourself hundreds of dollars sort of thing, doing that by getting the right thing at the right time, or, the right thing that's going to suit you, and knowing how to use it too. So like, I go through there's a whole chapter on release aids and how, on each one, and how to actually activate them, because a lot of people will buy a hinge style release aid and not actually know how to use it. And so then if you're not using it correctly, it might be the right tool for you, but if you're not using it right, it's not working. So then, you get rid of, you've wasted your money.
Yeah.
So not only having the information about what's going to work, but how to actually use it when you get it. Same with broadheads, same with arrows, all those sort of things. Stabilizers are another big thing.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And obviously you've been on the scenes for quite a while, so it's like years and years of knowledge, but it's also shared knowledge because, like you said, it's you're not only ever just hunting by yourself. You've obviously got quite a crew of people that you've been around that you've been able to gain the knowledge from as well.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm only passing on. I didn't invent any of this. I'm just passing on all the cherry, all the good bits that everyone else has passed on to me over
the cream, all the cream,
40 years sort of thing. So
yeah,
pretty much, yeah.
That's incredible.
So that's part one. Part two is some one-on-one coaching. So whether it's here up at my place or for anyone interstate, I've got people that I trust that can do that coaching for them. So people in Queensland, New South Wales and stuff like that. So you don't just need to be a Victorian to do it.
Yeah, good.
And that one-on-one coaching is basically, exactly that, one-on-one coaching, having a look at your particular form, your particular setup, making any adjustments we need to, all that sort of stuff.
Which is invaluable.
Which is exactly, yeah. Yeah. If you, again, we can refine how you use your release aid or change the stabilizer weights or whatever, or try different broadheads or, any of that sort of stuff to get you shooting the best you can. In that we sort of teach you how to develop your own shot sequence and how to develop one that's going to be you're going to be able to use it in practice and in a hunting situation or even a 3D tournament if you're going to go down that way. Then part three is a bow tuning session.
Yeah.
So same thing. You basically need to do part one and part two to be able to shoot well enough to actually tune your bow. So a lot of people want to get their bow tuned, but they haven't worked on themselves.
Yeah.
So the first couple of sections you really need to do before you get that bow tuning session done. And that is to, not only do we tune your bow, actually show you how to tune your bow and how bows are tuned. So I'm not all about just trying to, if you come to me, we're not just going to tune your bow and I'll show you I won't show you the black magic. I'll just tune your bow and send you off. I'm going to actually show you how to do it, what I'm exactly doing, why I'm doing it, and how your bow tunes this way. But if you get, say, a PSC, well, you'll tune it this way. And if you've got a Bowtech, you'll tune it this way, or an Elite, you'll do it this way.
Yeah.
And show you how. The whole thing is just to give you information so that, you've got that forever, really.
It's funny. That's a side I haven't really delved into yet. Purely just because it's a technical side that I don't have the access to yet, in the sense of I don't have a bow press, so I haven't bothered to do it. I've always just taken it to someone and said, "It's your problem. Can you fix it for me and make it better?" It's really interesting, like to lay it out exactly like how you guys have. That's I think that's super valuable and something that would be obviously even just understanding. And I do understand obviously the mechanics of the bow, but understanding it into full detail. Like if a string blew out during a hunt for me, for instance, I wouldn't know how to replace that, especially without a bow press.
And that's right. That's it. And if you don't have a bow press, it's still worth knowing how to tune the bow for that exact reason if something happens in hunting camp. But also, if you know how to tune it, if your bow's out of tune or there's something going wrong with it, whether it's you or the bow sort of thing. So you don't need to have a bow press and have access to all that sort of stuff to get some quality information out of that sort of session.
Definitely.
And then part four, we go on to meat preparation. So it's basically, we'll take you out, shoot an animal, field dress it, take it back home. And it's not just me. I've got a good mate of mine, Ross O'Mara, who's a wild game chef. He's actually just got a new
book,
wild game book just come out. So have a look at that. But he takes us through the A to Z of, from once it's hit the ground to once it's in your tummy sort of thing. So
there you go.
It's about, the field dressing, preparation, how to store it, how to butcher it, best cuts, how to cook each cut, all those sort of things. So, and in the future, we're looking to put that all online as well. So that will become an online thing that people can buy, and hopefully, you'll be able to reference that. So if you do put an animal down, now how did Ross do that. You can just look at your phone, go to that chapter. Oh, yeah, this is how he field dresses it, and then off you go. Or when you get home, how do you cut up those tomahawk steaks? There you go. You can just look onto that section and off you go. So
yeah, that's incredible in itself. I think coming into bow hunting in particular, I was surprised with how many people wouldn't take the whole animal, like wouldn't take certain cuts because they just thought, it's too hard to work with.
Yep.
And realistically, like every bit of meat on that animal can be used and utilized really easily and made into great meals. But yeah, it does take a little bit of different cooking from what you've probably been doing. And I mean, last year in particular, I would say probably 90% of our meat intake for my family came from my hunting alone. And I reckon that probably saved us like, I don't know, anywhere between $7,000 to $10,000, especially if you were to actually price it out versus what it would actually cost in the shops for venison in particular, then definitely we saved probably even more than that. But it just shows that once you know how to do that stuff in the bush, you know how to field dress it properly, take home the meat and care for it properly, and then prepare it and put it onto the meal for onto the table as a meal for the family. I reckon that's invaluable. That really is. That's life lessons 101 taken to the extreme.
Yep. And it's also good, like, not only for yourself, but like for your family. You don't want to be giving sport meat to your family or friends or, putting them off that sort of stuff. So it's, learning how to properly field dress it, properly store the meat, all those sort of things is, it's been invaluable.
You also want them to enjoy it, right? Like you want to make a dish that you're going to enjoy, that they're going to enjoy. I just remembered, I went out a few weeks ago. There's a guy that has some Chiddle deer that crosses his block every afternoon. He has cattle on my family's block and comes across every once in a while to do some mustering. And he said to me that they gave. They shot a Chiddle deer for the rug and gave the meat to someone else, and the people who got it were like, "Oh my God, thank you so much." He's like, "You would have thought I just gave him a bucket of gold." I'm like, "Mate, it pretty much is." And he said, "My daughter-in-law tried to cook it for me." And he's like, "You see that cement down there? Well, it looked like that, and it tasted about as good as that, and it was fucking horrible." I'm like,
"Yep,
yeah, you got ripped off. You really did."
Yeah.
Like it's just about how you.
Well, that's the thing. Like Chiddle meat's one of the best, the best forms of venison going around. It's exactly how you cook it. So
maybe if they'd had your course, they would have been all right.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, hopefully. Then another section is sort of gear selection for everything other than the archery part. So boots, packs, tents, all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole section on that. And then the last section is an in the field section where we actually take people out that haven't hunted or don't have access or limited hunting opportunities and stuff, take them out in the bush and actually show them, where to look, what sign is, all that sort of stuff. So, and even down here in Victoria, actually give them a kick-off point to start their hunting, because I found with a lot of the seminars that I run, there'll be, a group of the participants that come along that haven't really hunted that much and they actually don't know where to hunt, where to start.
Mm-hmm.
A bit like what you were saying before, if you come down to Victoria, where do you go?
Yeah.
We'll actually, in that session, it's an in the field session, we'll go out and, show you where wallows are, show you where, sign is and stuff, and actually get you started sort of thing. So
yeah, it really is kind of like the all-in-one course, right? Like the start to finish, like you said, A to Z.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things, as I said, you don't have to do all of it. You can just do sections of it. So if you've got a place to hunt, where deer are, you're a rifle shooter and you've come across, well, then you might need to do, part one to learn more about bows and arrows and how all they work, and, do a one-on-one coaching and some tuning session, and you might have everything else sorted out. You don't need to do it. So that's fine. That's why it's a modular system. You just, pick what you need sort of thing.
And with each of those different experiences outside of the first chapter, essentially the one that's online, there is extra cost involved in that. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. It's all cost just to make cover.
You got you right, the time and whatever else.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I love doing this and I love helping people out, and I do that a lot. But you
also can't give up
people value
time for free.
Pretty much, but also if you put a value on something, people they don't take the piss, sort of thing. If that makes sense, like pretty much, and they do. So, and we try and price it as so people can afford it. And I run courses as well. So we're doing Brad Smith and I are running one up in Tamworth in a couple of weeks, and then again we'll probably have to run another one in May, which is going to cover sort of the first 4 sections of this program at a discounted rate, because we're going to have sort of 10 participants. We can go through it a lot quicker. And the same, we're running one down in Bairnsdale a couple of weeks after that. And so we'll be trying to do that to, it'll cut the cost. So basically, if you were to do the whole Bowhunters, Building Better Bowhunters program, it's about $1,500.
Yeah.
If you do it through the courses, then it only works out at about $1,000, because we're able to, get everyone together in the one spot. Yeah. We can have Ross there, we can have Smithy there, we can have whatever, and we can all do it at once. So that makes it a bit easier.
Cheap experience, right? Like $1,000 to $1,500 for all of that. There's so many. It is not to take the piss or say that anyone's doing anything wrong, but there's people that run weekend courses that are triple that, and I understand there's a lot more involved in feeding and whatever else of the individuals. You're taking them away, you're getting them to the location, but yeah, all I'm trying to say is essentially that the value for money in that is incredible.
Yeah, well, as I said, I don't do it for a living. It's not my main job. It's just it just helps pay for me to travel to do all this sort of stuff and pass on the knowledge. So that's what it's really about. Like when I first started bowhunting and stuff, I had a good mentor that taught me a lot. And then after that I had more and more, and like I just try and pass on that knowledge. Like I know how easy it wasn't easy for me, but it was a lot easier for me than it was for some other people, because I had these people that helped me. And I just, I like to help other people do the same, achieve the same things. So
definitely, yeah. I think realistically, the bow hunting community in Australia is reasonably small, but they're also very helpful, right? Like for me to come in as a complete noob to bow hunting and get the support from everyone that I did, just to be able to create this platform, for instance. It's incredible what has like the support and whatever else that it had from word go, and here we are 3 years down track, and still kicking along.
And look at you now, like look how far you've come in those 3 years yourself. Like yourself as a bow hunter,
massively.
You're providing food for your family in that now, that you would not have been you wouldn't have thought you'd be able to do that just in a few short years.
No, definitely not. And to say that like the fast tracking that I got from others is incredible. And that really did come from A, the podcast, but B, when you actually get out and get to go in the field with someone, you take so much more on. Because you can give it a real life situation. You can say, well, hold up, let's stop here. Let's have a look at where the animal is right now. What gameplay would you take? What gameplay would you take? What gameplay would you take? And it's just cool to see how different people's minds work and what their process would be for a stalk, for instance. That's just one circumstance. It's not even every single circumstance of hunting.
Yep. Yeah, and that's exactly right. Like being able to watch other people and things. It's really interesting. We did the big Bowhunters course up at Strathburn with Brad Smith and Ian Summers, and we take a group of blokes out every week, and most of us will sit back, and there'll be one guide, one hunter going in and having a look, and the rest of us can sit back and think, oh, that's exactly what I'd do, or no, I wouldn't have gone that way, I would have went the other way and stuff. And even when you're not sort of hunting yourself, you pick up so much more being out in the field with other people.
Definitely.
And it's it's how a lot of people learn, but then a lot of people don't have that opportunity, or they don't, they might be a bit shy or not as outgoing, that sort of thing. So a program like this that I'm running, will hopefully help them and fast track their learning. I know I sort of half chuckled when you said, you've only been going for 3 years, like you've done all this in 3 years. Like it took me 3 years to, it took me 2 years before I shot my first deer, and that was just a scrawny little fellow out the back here. But when I started, and a lot of us older fellas started, like there was no internet. You know, you only got a magazine every 2 months. The only thing you learn off was other people at the club, and basically no one knew what we were doing. we're all in it together. So it's technology and things like that now, and the ease of access of information it's a game changer. Like even as far as people's form now, when they come up here, if they, people come up and they look like they've been shooting for 10 years and, I picked up a bow 3 months ago and I watched a couple of John Dudley videos and stuff, and they're shooting unbelievable. Like it's great. It's great for the sport. There's nothing better than being successful to want you to do it more.
Exactly right. Yeah, I got to admit, it's 4 years. I miscalculated. It's 4 years at least, but at the same time, I saw the same thing happen. I was a CrossFit coach for many years, pretty much 10, 12 years, and within that time, you saw how fast the sport accelerated because of, once again, the online community. And you get to see, for instance, the videos of how-tos and that how to shoot or how to squat or how to... And then you get your seminars and stuff that are happening around the place, and it lifts. It's like the rising tide lifts all ships. And if you go into a gym, for instance, and there's... everyone within the gym can do X amount of weight and do X workout, and so fast or so quick, everyone else is going to, or you come as a newbie, you're going to try to keep up with them as much as you can. I think the same thing's going to happen within the bow hunting world. At least I've definitely seen it over the last 4 years, and that's not much to talk about considering some of the experience that gets around, but it's like, you really can see the fast track that can happen within it.
Yeah, you did right. I did CrossFit for quite a few years as well, and it's probably pretty much similar, like that community sort of aspect that you have in the box is the same in the bow hunting community. Like everyone's there to help each other out. There's, you don't keep secrets from anyone when you find good gear that works and, that sort of stuff. But, you do keep secrets about your secret hunting spots and things, but that's about it.
Only tell the ones that need to know. So within that, like your background's actually as a physio, what are some of the common, injuries as a first place, but common mistakes you see within the archery world? Let's go with injuries first.
Yeah, injuries, surprisingly, I don't think you tend to get too many injuries from archery itself. Obviously, some people that are a bit overbowed that might, but generally I think the most injuries you see with archers are shoulders or elbows. Yeah. So a tennis elbow or a bursitis in the shoulder and stuff. And for most of the people that I know that have had injuries and things, it's actually from work or from other sport, and then they can't shoot their bow because of that. Definitely. Yep. It's not actually the archery that's causing that. Yeah. It's normally what they do, away from the bow, and then once they go and pick up the bow, with a bit of tennis elbow, I can't use my release aid properly, or elbow hurts every time the shot goes off. So so the injuries for archery, I think are pretty
limited.
Pretty minimal. I do recommend that people, before they shoot, they warm up with a band. And it's just as simple. All I do every time I go out there is just grab a rubber band and just draw back or pretend to draw back 10 or 15 times just to warm things up. Yep. Because shooting, higher poundage bows and stuff, you're going out cold and things. There is that risk of injury if you use a band to warm up. Like anything, you're right to go generally.
I actually did that exact mistake and went out one day. It was in the rut. It was my last day of the rut, probably 2 years ago, I think. And it was a very cold morning, like untypically cold from where I hunt. And I was sitting down the bottom of this hill calling in this red stag. And I hadn't done anything for my shoulders or whatsoever. I literally just hopped out of the car and trekked straight over to him because he was calling as soon as I hopped out. And I got there and called him down the hill. And as I pulled back, my shoulder just wasn't warm at all, and it was in a funky position, and I just pulled because I'm like, I'm going to get this deer. It's going to happen. And I pulled through whatever it was. It wasn't great. Something in the front of my delt or maybe my pec, I'm not really sure, but essentially it wasn't good, and the aftermath was not great either. And that was purely just because of stubbornness, not because of anything else. But if I had just done a few shoulder rotations or a few banded pulls or something like that just to warm up before I went out, it would have made a world of difference, definitely.
Yeah, and it doesn't take much. And, normally when you're hunting, you don't get to have a lot of shots, especially if you're hunting in the morning. You want to try and get somewhere, before the sun comes up or whatever. Mm-hmm. You don't get a chance to actually shoot your bow, but you still can have a little, rubber band in the car that you just, when you get out, just, do a couple of pull throughs sort of thing, just to warm those shoulders up a little bit, and it saves you some grief down in the long run.
Definitely, and I mean, you can pick them up from Kmart for $10 now. They're so accessible.
Exactly.
And then in regards to people who are, like, for instance, this is actually really cool. My wife's family, her uncle, bought their whole family bows, and then we started talking about it at Christmas time. It's like, oh, so we actually got some bows, we got some elites, we got them from a mate over in America. He got them all sent over. Got talking, absolutely awesome what they're doing, but at the same time, they've bought a bow that's too heavy for the sun. And so I said, look, mate, all you need to do really is just some pulling and pushing, some upper body pulling, some upper body pushing. You could do a mixture of strength and hypertrophy style work. So we're talking about like heavier for 5 to 6 reps, or going high reps, so 15 to 20 reps for 5 sets, for instance. And that would be enough just to help you strengthen over a few weeks' time, doing some form of like either bent over rows or lat pull down or standing rows. Meadow rows is one of my favorite ones to do with the barbell. Then you could do anything in regards to like your pushing stuff. So doing, for instance, bench press, push-ups, chest press, shoulder press, anything like that is going to help just building the strength of the upper body in general. Is there anything else that you can kind of add to that you think would work really well for archery in particular?
Probably, again, the bands are really good, because it's good to have that overall strength, but to come back to full draw right back, you're using those smaller muscles, those smaller cuff muscles and rhomboids and things like that you don't actually you do use them with those bigger lifts, but it's just different. It's more a finesse type thing.
Yeah.
And when you're drawing a bow, when you're getting right back just before it breaks over for the let off, that's where you're probably at your weakest. And so using that band, that's where the band's going to be at its strongest. So you're really going to be, being able to pull back in through that a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And then definitely just winding down the bows is the big thing. Wind them down as far as they go, and
build your strength with it. I really find it's part technique, right? Like you can not shoot your bow for a couple of weeks and go and pick it up, and it feels hard to start with. And then you do 3 or 4 draws, and then all of a sudden you're back to it. You're like, oh no, it's good. I have the rhythm again to go through the motion. It transitions pretty quickly. But I think
pretty much muscle memory.
Exactly right. And I think obviously you need to be able to build that to start with. You can't just expect that you'll pick it up one day and it'll feel easy. Yeah.
And that's the biggest issue I see with people that are starting out, is they want to have a 70-pound bow, and they want to shoot it at 70-pound or 80-pound, the Cam Haines style or something like that. And, I always recommend that people start off as low as they can, so that they can, one, they're not, trying to pull their guts out, trying to pull the bow back, but 2, they can shoot more.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can draw the bow back comfortably and shoot 50 shots, it's much better doing that at 60-pound when you're starting than trying to pull a 70-pound bow where you're only getting 10 shots and your form's really bad because it's you're struggling to get it back.
Definitely.
So, wind it down as far as it'll go to start with, and then wind it up a couple of pound every month. I think that's a really good progression, because that way the more arrows you can shoot, and the better your form is when you're shooting them, you're teaching yourself those good techniques right from the start.
Yeah, definitely. One of my mates is one of the first guys that ever showed me a compound bow, to be honest. And he lived down in Sydney. And he lived in a unit in Sydney. So his shooting range was no more than, I think it was like 3 meters long. He would literally stand on his deck, and he had just a setup where he would just shoot into it. And I said, what are you aiming at each time you shoot? And he's like, oh, I'm not. I'm just going through my shot process. Like, all I do is I draw it out, I do my placement, and then I just take my shot and fire it off. He pretty much had the wall covered in foam to some extent. And I think that's just such a great practice, right? To be able to do that at home, if you can, even if you don't have a lot of space, like you can, like he was doing, you can do a 3 meter shot and be getting the end result from it.
That's exactly right. I know I got target panic years ago when I had an index finger trigger, and I swapped to a hinge when they first came out, and I'd shoot 50 arrows in the morning and 50 arrows of a night at 3 meters, just getting used to that release age sort of thing. And it's so easy because, you can have a setup like that. You can just walk out, have 10 shots, and you're done for the day. You're keeping that muscle memory going. If you're not aiming, you can concentrate on your anchor, your T position, your front shoulder position, all of those things. And just, building up that muscle memory is really good.
Yeah, I've personally been very lazy with shooting recently, and it grinds me. Like, I really want to get into it more, and I need to make the time to do it. But I'm always like, okay, I'll do it at the end of the day, and then more work gets piled on or whatever it is. The family has requirements and whatever else happens. So I've been meaning to actually try schedule it into my day that before I jump into work each morning, because I work from home, so I'm literally on the computer, but I've still got a lot of work that needs to be done. So it's like, I think what I'm going to try to do is schedule it at the start of the day, so at least it's just done. I'm going to probably be in a better headspace going into work anyway, and I'm going to make sure that I'm getting my practice in before the rut. So I think that's going to be my approach kind of next week, from pretty much next week moving on. My wife's going to Mexico, of all places, on Wednesday.
Nice.
Yeah, she got a work trip. It's like all paid for. So her and my youngest daughter are going over to Mexico, and me and our oldest daughter are hanging out. So, yeah.
It'll be awesome.
Yeah, so maybe after that
pity you can't go over there and hunt some coos deer or some whitetail or something like that, mate.
I know, right? Maybe the next time as she gets better results, then they'll start paying for me to go as well. Apparently, so I'll get onto it for it.
That's the go.
I'll try to tee up Hawaii.
That's it. I will give you a tip as a bow hunting physio, because you've got a computer job where you're sitting down a lot. You can make your rest breaks 5 arrows.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
We always suggest to people, if they've got a sitting job or a desk job and stuff, they should get up, frequently and do something, whether it's just go and get a drink or, walk around the chair or whatever. Or yours could just be get up and shoot 5 arrows, mate.
Yeah, I often go out and just go for a 10-minute walk just around I've got a fair few hills just around me here, so I'll just head out and do that.
Yep.
I actually have a standing desk, so I'm on the standing desk all day long, which nice. I enjoy. I really enjoy, and it makes me feel at least a little less like a fat bugger for being on a computer desk all day. It's actually crazy from work that I was doing prior. Like when I was coaching a lot, it wouldn't be anything for me to do 10 to 20,000 steps within a day. Not that I would really keep track of it, but now that a lot of my work is behind the computer, I'd be lucky to get 3,000 to 5,000 if I don't make a conscious effort to go and do more. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. I had a good mate of mine who had the same issues. He's on the computer all the time, and he got a standing desk because he ended up with a sore back and decided that he wasn't doing enough, so he got some little steps and just would step up and down on those while he was working. Yeah, and that worked out really well until he got a hip issue out of that.
I was going to say there's the walking treadmills and stuff you can do, but I didn't think I'd be able to type very well while that's happening. So
that's it. I'd be the same.
Maybe down track, who knows? So what about the future for you? What sort of hunts do you have? Oh, actually, I wanted to ask, have you done all of the deer species within Australia?
I've hunted them all. I haven't shot a hog deer. I drew Blonde Bay about it'll be 6 or 7 years ago. First period, and I thought
Blonde Bay? Is that
Blonde Bay's down in Gippsland.
So awesome. Yep.
It's the Blonde Bay Hog Deer Advisory Board or whatever. They have the balloted hog deer hunting. And back then there was only Blonde Bay and Bull Pool, the 2 areas where you could hunt. Blonde Bay was a really popular one, had a lot of hog deer, and was it was the number 1 spot. And I drew first period and thought all my Christmases had come at once. And unfortunately, hardly saw a hog deer. The group of 4 of us that were down there hardly saw a deer that time. And from then on, the hog deer hunting at Blonde Bay has been really poor. They're lucky to sort of shoot 1 deer every period, sort of thing.
Wow. So, did you yell loud enough to scare them all away or something after that experience? Eh?
I don't know what happened. It was so frustrating. So
I can imagine.
Hog deer's on my list at some stage, but
and it's still a balloted system, right?
For those couple of spots there, you can buy your hog deer tags and go down and hunt. There's a few other areas that are public land.
Oh, wow.
So you could come down, buy some, get your game license, buy a couple of hog deer tags, or you don't have to buy the hog deer tags. You just get the hog deer tags and go and hunt some public land.
Huh.
It is a lot harder. They're pretty switched on, the old hog deer.
Mm-hmm.
And at the start of the season, they turn pretty nocturnal pretty quick.
A lot of people just hunt them from stands, don't they, usually? From a tree stand.
They do, yeah. But they, as I said, they're pretty switched on, and they do tend to disappear pretty quick once hunting season starts.
Yeah.
And it is April, which is also the fallow and red deer sort of thing. So I haven't, apart from that one time, I haven't really hunted hog deer. So I need to get into it at some stage. But
And then of the other species, like you've taken pretty representable animals that you're happy with, or is it something you'd keep trying to better?
Yeah, I'll keep trying better, especially with Samba.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to spend a lot more time this year on the Samba. I've got probably 3 or 4 trips, like week trips planned later in the year for them.
Yeah.
And the rest of them I've got good representative heads. I haven't got world beaters or anything, but I've got a good red that I shot years ago. I've got some good fallow, good chittle. Got a nice rooster again this year. I've got a really good one that I got quite a few years ago, double drop tine thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
does it make it any less exciting in the fact that you've kind of hit a pinnacle? Like, does it make it any different for you?
No, and I haven't.
Great.
Yeah, look, I haven't hit the pinnacles. Like, I haven't got a big, 14 point like Liam Wood's red stag or anything like that. As yet. But like, I'm not too fast. I like hunting and I like shooting things, but I don't. Yeah, I'm not a trophy hunter. I don't measure any of my animals. I wouldn't know how long they are or what they measure or what they score or anything like that. I never have. I still remember the first decent fallow deer that I shot years ago. I sent a mate a photo, and like actually when I say sent a mate, I actually printed out the photo, put it in an envelope, and sent it to him. And when he got it, he rang me up and said, congratulations and stuff, because I'd been chasing for quite a few years. And he said, it's really good, but, it'll probably only go 130 because it's got a cleft in the left palm and all that. And I thought, you bastard.
Yeah, exactly. Like, don't take it down. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just, that really put me off scoring and stuff.
Yeah.
Because, and I'm not against people scoring.
No,
if you want to score them, go for your life. But it's just not for me. I'm just there for the experience and the hunting. That's why I like things like Greenland and Bulgaria and going to the States and things like that. It's the adventure part of the hunting as well, not just shooting stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm definitely more down the route for you. Like, I really think any animal that anyone gets it's a trophy in its own self. Like, it doesn't have to be anything spectacular and special. And I think realistically that is the downside, as well as we've had the upside that we've talked about, and kind of the rising tides brought all ships up. At the same time, it's now given us this picture of you have to have the biggest, largest, most genetically beautiful stag or whatever it is to be successful, which I don't think is the case at all. And it's interesting. I actually went hunting a few weeks ago, and it was me and a mate, and we shot a red stag, a little spiker. And I was like, this is going to be interesting to post on social media to see if there's anyone that says anything about it, because he was a great genetic deer, realistically. We went there for the farmer's sake and for our own sake to get some meat. But the farmer said, we've got too many deer here. We need some gone. Can you go out and do the job? We went out. There was plenty of spikers around. So we said, they're great eating. Let's take a spiker. And sure enough, there was the conversation of then it played out as to like, you should have really let him grow because he would have been a great animal down track. I said, yes, true. But would have we held our space as a hunter on that block or not? I'm not sure. And the fact that there's plenty of other deer there, like essentially it's just a form of management that you have to go through when you're doing hunting in general, but at the same time, we were chasing meat at the end of the day. So not that I have to justify it at all. It's just an interesting part of the conversation that happens within the hunting world.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And I know there's a Samba fella down here. People might have heard of him, Errol Mason, and he says that like Samba, the hinds are the real trophy because they're the ones that look after the family. They're the ones that are more switched on. They're harder to hunt.
Yeah.
But they just don't have the antlers. So if his opinion is if you want a real trophy, shoot a hind. It doesn't look good on social media, does it? I mean, it doesn't look as impressive as
I understand.
And then, sorry.
I was going to say, go on.
I was just going to say, meat wise and stuff like that. Your spiker's going to eat a lot better than a big old ruddy stag and stuff. So
tell you what, he was delicious too. He is delicious. I'm still eating him.
Excellent.
So how about trips overseas? You got anything else coming up that you're looking forward to in the years to come?
I will get back over to the States at some stage. We were looking at going over to Russia because they've just legalised bow hunting in Russia a couple of years ago. And then obviously COVID and then the war with Ukraine and stuff sort of put a bit of a dampener on that. But
just a little bit.
I was just sort of interested in a couple of mates going over and looking at doing something over there maybe.
What would you be hunting over there apart from the incredible boars?
I got told that like moose, what they would call elk over there, and even brown bear are sort of affordable. So I don't know. I wouldn't really worry me. I think that'd be an awesome experience to do something like that.
Yeah, of all animals I'd like to try and eat, mountain lions are definitely like the top of the rank. That's something that I've heard is just absolutely amazing. So I would be very intrigued by that. But bear in general is something that I'd be quite intrigued to eat as well.
Yeah, be certainly different. It's funny, the mates that I've got in the States, like some of them really, like bear and they enjoy it, and others, it's not for them sort of thing. So it must be I don't know whether it's what the bear are eating themselves, or seasons, whether it's a spring bear or a fall bear that they hunt, or or what. But it's quite interesting. So I'd never really thought about. I never really liked the idea of shooting bear when I first started, but now that's something that I'd like to shoot at some stage.
Yeah, it's funny. I've gone through a bit of the same sort of motion on that when I first started getting into hunting in general, and I think it must be because of the anthropomorphization that they go through, right? From a young age, we were always taught that bears are this big cuddly thing and whatever else, and that was actually one that kind of stumped me at first. I was like, I don't know if I could do the bear side of things, and then the further I've gone down the route, I don't know, maybe we're skewed now, who knows, but
well, also I think as you learn more about them, you realise they can rip your head off it, in one swat sort of thing. So
fascinating.
They're not the cuddly little things that you maybe seeing in cartoons.
Definitely, yeah. It's interesting how it kind of goes. Actually, I'm pretty sure Grant and Corey are going over to Greenland to do caribou. Is that right? Do they have caribou there?
Yeah.
That definitely pricked my ears up. Caribou, I think, are just a fascinating creature. Is that something that you've ever thought of hunting?
Yeah, the only, and I almost went with a couple of mates were going this year for the caribou over in Greenland. But the only thing is it's the opposite time of year, so it's autumn. Which is actually no snow and stuff. And I just went over. I wanted to do the muskox hunt in spring when it was the minus 35 and
definitely
that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But you can't hunt, like obviously the caribou don't have any antlers or anything at that time of year, and a lot harder to find in that because they're scattered around a lot more.
Yeah.
I've got a list a mile long of things that I'd like to hunt. They're just not near the top of it, I guess.
Definitely. Yeah, I think there's a few places I'd love to go. I think probably one of the first on the list is going to be something that has to involve the family. So I'm thinking maybe Hawaii would be a good location and take the whole crew and then duck out for a week of hunting while they enjoy the beach maybe.
Yeah, I think that'd that's a good thing. And that's a good thing about, you can do these sort of things with your family and stuff.
Yeah.
There's all that space. We bought a caravan at the start of last year, and we went up to Queensland last year, and got to the hunt rooster and stuff like that. And then the family came along, or they flew up, the week after and stuff, and we had our holiday and things. And this year, like with the boys getting older, we'll spend a lot more time up in the high country in the van over winter and stuff as well, hunting and stuff. So it's.
Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say it's something that the family can tag along with a lot of the time.
Definitely, that's something that we've been discussing quite a lot, is potentially getting the van and even doing, while the girls are young, going on the road for a bit. And I said, as long as I can take my bow, I'm happy. And I think it would open up the amount of hunting I get to do, which is incredible. So we'll see.
Yeah. No, definitely. I can highly recommend it.
All plans
tell your wife I highly recommend it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, she's sold. It's just making it all happen now.
Yep. Well, with you working online and that, it shouldn't be
exactly
shouldn't be an issue. Work from anywhere.
Yeah, we've got a Starlink that can get you around Australia at least. Should be no problems really. So yeah, we just now need to work the logistics of life out. Yeah.
Just don't say it's a hunting trip. Just call it
we're going on the year-long hunting trip. I can't wait.
There's always a rut somewhere.
Exactly right. Well, Brad, I think that's a good place to wrap it. But before we do, where can people find becoming the Better Bowhunter course? Where is that?
So you can check it out on my website. It's just thebowhuntingcoach.com. Mm-hmm. I've also got a couple of posts up on Instagram. It's just at the Bowhunting Coach, and also just Facebook, which is just under Brad Murphy. We will, there's a whole blog on my website about all the details about the course and each module and what's involved in it and stuff like that. Instead of running seminars in Tamworth and Bairnsdale and hopefully up in Queensland again at some stage later this year. So people can keep an eye out on them. I normally advertise them just through Instagram and stuff. And I'm happy to answer questions or help people out anytime. I don't charge for that sort of stuff. So
definitely,
people have got a question, just send me a text message or send me a message or give me a call or whatever. I just like helping people out and steering them in the right direction. People get the right stuff right from the start. So
that's awesome, man. The bow hunting community is definitely better off for having you in it, mate. So thank you.
I must say, I'm not the only one. Like, there's a lot of us around. Like Ian Summers and Jake Gastrosby. Yeah, he always takes me a couple of tries to get Jake's surname right. But there's a lot of other people out there that are really willing to help out. So if anyone's in any need of any help, I'm not the only one. There are other people around there and stuff. I've just tried to bring this all in to make it a little bit more, seamless for people.
I think it's a great resource and really something that, it almost seems like a no-brainer. $100 to get all that access to all that information is just. It will save you a lot of time, a lot of money, like I said before, and save you a lot of frustration too, to be honest.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, I would think so. No, mate, that's great. Like I said, better place for having you here, and thank you very much for what you do for the community.
No worries, mate. Thanks again for having me on.
No worries.
Appreciate it.
That wraps up this week's episode. Thank you so much for joining us, team. If you did have any topics, questions, or you wanted to suggest a guest for Becoming a Bowhunter, you can send me an email at matty@becomingabowhunter.com. If you're enjoying the show or you've enjoyed in particular episodes, please do me a solid and share it around with your friends. If you are not already, please hit the subscribe button, as the more subscribers we get, the higher the podcast gets ranked, and that definitely helps out for showing it to other individuals. If you are not already following me on Instagram, it's at becomingabowhunter.podcast, and on YouTube, it's Becoming a Bowhunter. Get out, team, fling some arrows, get that practice in, and walk those yards in the paddocks until you find those critters. That is it for now, but not the last time that you'll hear from Becoming a Bowhunter.